For a long time, I've been helping people with negative entity attachments. And although every situation is unique to that individual, I've definitely seen some patterns developing over time. And so as a result, I've been able to kind of set three major categories of negative entity circumstances that I'd like to highlight for you, ask you a series of questions so you can figure out which category you fall into, and then isolate and understand whether or not you have a negative entity situation or something else altogether. So let's go ahead and get started. And so you know, if you leave a comment below and ask me, hey, Zane, do I have any negative entity attachments? I'll be happy to respond to you because I check with my guides and I'll let you know. Okay, so we're going to ask you a series of questions to see which of these three major categories of negative entity experience you might fall into: neurochemically influenced, pervasive, or ambiguous. So the first series of questions, these are yes/no questions. The first one is, are you between the ages of 18 and 35? During your childhood, were you highly social or were you more comfortable in a loner type situation? In your adulthood, did you find it very easy to maintain a great job, or has it been very challenging for you and you have to jump from job to job, you get fired a lot or dissatisfied with the work? And finally, when you hear voices that might come from negative entity attachments, how loud are those voices? Are those voices just as loud as someone sitting in the room, maybe even louder? If you answered yes to 3 out of the 4 questions, then you likely fall into the category of neurochemically influenced. This looks like bipolar, schizoaffective, or even schizophrenia. Now, please don't be alarmed if you feel that this is a misdiagnosis. This isn't easy to get right. However, having this neurochemical imbalance does not mean a death sentence or anything of the sort. It just means that you're more highly connected to the spirit world. In addition to that, you also have some mood influence that might get in the way of being able to raise your vibrational frequency very high, so that when you are connected to the spirit world, you're connected to the highest vibrational entities or beings. So I work with people like this all the time. So if you feel like you fall into this category, then I definitely encourage you to jump on a call with me so we can discuss the possibilities, discover and dive in a little bit deeper to make sure that this is definitely the area that you find yourself in. And you can find a link in the description below to set up a call, and I'd be happy to do that. Okay. So if you didn't fall into the neurochemically influenced, let's ask another series of questions to see if you are in the pervasive category. When you hear voices, are they just as loud as someone talking to you in the room, or are they even louder sometimes? The second question is, when you hear those voices, are they pervasive? Are they constantly chattering? Are they talking to you all the time? Are they trying to tell you and distract you from whatever it is that you're doing? They're trying to distract you from work or from sleeping or other things. Finally, do they tell you lots of stories? Do they tell you that they're here to help you, that they're actually your spirit guides and they got stuck or they got lost? They get wrapped up in story to try to get you wrapped up in story and try to get you to believe them. They're very deceptive and trying to convince you that they're here to help you or that they're an important part of your experience. Yet, at the same time, they do negative things to you. They maybe verbally abuse you sometimes or cause you physical pain. If you answered yes to 2 out of these 3 questions, then you fall into the category of pervasive. Pervasive is very challenging because they're very integrated into your life and they are going to constantly challenge you and remind you that they're there. And just ignoring them or trying to raise your vibrational frequency doesn't always help because they're so constant and they're such a nuisance essentially. I've worked with many people with this situation, so once again, if this is what you're experiencing, check in the link below, set up a call with me. These calls are free, by the way, and I'd be happy to talk to you about, for sure, to nail down what's going on with you and talk to you about ways that we might be able to work together. But I'll tell you right now that this is more of a challenging one, and it's going to be challenging for both of us, but we can do it. Okay. So the third category is finally just elusive. So this category is simply saying that it isn't as clear and obvious whether it's a negative entity attachment, a negative energy situation, a curse, an alien implant. It could be so many different things. Luckily, that doesn't really matter when it comes to solving the problem, but I still want to go through what some of these symptoms are so that you can figure out for sure if this is what you're experiencing. So one of the first ones that I hear all the time is brain fog, that they have trouble at various times concentrating or understanding what's going on. They get confused fairly easily. This is also accompanied with memory loss. They have lots of problems remembering things that used to be easy. Depression and anxiety. These are very common when we have negative energy or negative entity influence in our lives. Sleeplessness is often caused by this, as well as the feeling of a presence or unexplained physical pain. These all kind of come together, and you might experience this physical pain during the day, but a lot of times it really heightens at night. So you're feeling that physical presence, you're feeling that physical pain when you're trying to sleep, or you're awakened from your sleep with those sorts of experiences. Sometimes we see disturbing images with our eyes closed. All of a sudden we see something that we would normally never even think about. Also, hearing voices, whether they're loud or they're quiet or they're very subtle, but generally they take on a negative tone. Having fatigue and a lack of energy during the day, especially with the sleeplessness, that's obvious, right? But at the same time, even if you don't have that sleep problem or disturbing sleep paralysis, this is a big one that people run into all the time. They're seeing ghostly or horrific images, feeling the presence in the room while you're in sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is a natural occurrence. Sleep paralysis comes from the body shutting down so that while you're dreaming, you don't get up and run around the house trying to do whatever you're doing in the dream, because that would be detrimental to your safety. So the body does this natural thing to shut itself down. But what happens is the negative entity attachments can kind of use that situation to cause more fear. Another one that comes up a lot is self-doubt and overthinking. The overthinking mind trying to solve this problem can really cause all kinds of issues, and it lowers your vibrational frequency. Of course, when we're experiencing negative situations that are kind of outside of our control and outside of our understanding, because it's not happening in a 3D space, it's happening in a spiritual space or an energetic space, then overthinking to try to solve it doesn't actually help at all, and actually just causes more problems. It makes it so that we're more susceptible to negative entity attachment and influence. And there are so many other things like addiction and other decision making that seems random and strange. Like, there's no way I would have ever done that, but suddenly I did it anyway. There's so many different smaller kinds of experiences that you can have that make no sense, that seem way outside of your personality or your history, that can definitely be caused by a negative entity influence. So what I'd like to do now is go ahead and remove any negative entity attachments that you might have. This is a quick activation. Now, this removal is not necessarily permanent. For some of you, it might be, but it's not always that way. Sometimes all it is we remove it, it's temporarily removed, but then it just comes back again. This will also help you understand which category you're in. If you are in the elusive category, then you're going to feel a lot better, and you're going to feel a lot better for some certain amount of time. I can't tell you how long, but at least an hour, maybe a day, maybe a week, maybe forever. It depends on your specific situation. All right, so when you're ready, just go ahead and close your eyes and take a nice big deep breath. And relax as you exhale. Feel yourself sinking into the chair, to the bed, to the floor, wherever it is that you're sitting or laying. This is a very quick activation. All I'm going to do is say breath in. You're going to take a nice big deep breath. You're going to hold it at the top, and you're going to wait for me to make an explosive sound, and then you can exhale. This will be the removal or the release of any entity or entities that you may have attached to you. Breath in. Good. Excellent. Okay, that's all there is to it. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. All right, thank you for participating in that. And I definitely recommend that you go to my website and download the free Halo chakra activation, which will activate your halo chakra. It'll make it a little bit harder for those entities to come back. So you can find a link in the description below to do that. So thank you so much for watching this video. Definitely comment below and let me know what kinds of experiences you have that tell you for sure that you have a negative entity attachment. And definitely have me let you know whether you have one or not. We can check that. We can check the category as well. So be specific about what you want me to check for you, and I'd be happy to do it. And as I said before, if you have any of these, and including the elusive one, I do a group class that is extremely effective at the elusive category. So I highly recommend you check that out. And again, you can book a call with me, or you can go to my website to learn all about Detached, which is the program that helps people remove attachments. And those attachments can be anything. They can be alien implants, or they can be curses, they can be negative entities. It works for depression and PTSD, on and on and on. So thank you again so much. I love you unconditionally, and I'll see you in the next video.